Right, so super easy, super simple, nothing fancy. Just again, a reminder of that we get into the rut with the same old words. And if we're going to explicitly teach vocabulary, why not teach some of these great social emotional words to help kids as we think about self-regulation. So that's where we're headed next, is into this idea of self-regulation. So hang in there. We got 2 more strategies to go through here. So, self-regulation, let me put up a definition. This comes from my colleagues out of Yale. One of my colleagues in particular, Shauna Tomini, talks about this conscious ability to sort of stop, think, and then act. So kind of think about your kids. Again, if you've got infants and toddlers, they're really relying upon us to do the stopping, the thinking, the acting. So when they cry, we're supposed to know how to help regulate them, to calm them, to meet their needs, right? Because self-regulation is first externally controlled and then internally controlled. But some of you who have kindergartners or first graders or second graders in your child care, they should be moving towards more regulation. But this takes years. In fact, much of our prefrontal cortex doesn't develop until how old are you? Until this part of your brain, this reasoning and empathy and problem solving. Do you know how old you are? Some of you are like, I got a 25-year-old and counting. Yeah, like mid-20s, a lot of that brain activity is still forming. So when you've got a 3-year-old, don't be surprised when they don't make good choices all the time. It's typical, okay? So as we think about self-regulation, we're going to think about this conscious ability of the child to sort of think about things on purpose, take action on purpose, and understand their feelings. But all of that is up to us to really be teaching. It doesn't just fall out of the sky. And again, as children grow up in more and more dysregulated environments, again, think about my trip to Walmart last night. It's 9:30 at night, and there's little tiny kids. When are you going to hit a good sleep? And I know what time everybody gets up to have you dropped off at the child care, right? And I don't know what you've eaten. I don't know if you've had any quiet or time to have your own needs met, let alone your caregivers, right? So we have to really think about teaching self-regulation versus kids' exposure and play. And this doesn't matter what we're teaching, we're always going to have this push and pull. Should I teach it, like come to my table and here's how you self-regulate, versus do I let you play with the blocks and hopefully you don't kill anybody with them? You know, like where are we in here? And again, think about this from a developmental perspective, that younger kids are going to need more of you. Even in, let's say, 3-year-olds in the block area, you got to be in there in the block area with them, because we're going to fight over blocks. We're going to fight over stuff we don't even want because we don't know why, but that's what we do. So they need a guide. They don't need someone to remind them of the rules. They don't need someone to tell them that when they can get their act together, they can come back and play. They need someone to show them how to play cooperatively, how to take and say, you know what? Sometimes I get anxious when I feel like somebody's going to take all these blocks that I'm playing with. Like they need someone to say that out loud because they're feeling anxious that somebody's going to take all the blocks. So they take all the blocks. So they need a guide at their side to help them really think through how they're feeling, really think through how do I make a conscious decision, how do I control that impulse to just mow through the blocks to get to what I want. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's during play, but it's still very intentional on our part. So your strategy today is what we call power packs. Now, we're going to have a paper version of this. I kind of already have some paper versions that you can download on the website for free. But you can also today, maybe at lunch or even while you're sitting here, it won't bother me at all, you can download it. If you have an Google Play or iTunes, you can download a free app. And what it does is, I think there's like 130-some prompts of things that you, as a loving adult, can say or do during daily activities. So while you're eating snack, while you're changing diapers, while you're getting kids in a car seat, while you're doing a circle time, doesn't matter what the activity is, These are things you can say and do. Now, for you infant toddler people, these would be more for your toddlers, not so much developmentally for your infants, these prompts. But if you've got some toddlers and they would go up into early elementary, they'd be kind of developmentally appropriate things that you would say and do that would help kids learn to self-regulate. So they're not like, I'm teaching you self-regulation in your face. It's just that we talk about certain things, and you'll look at these prompts and you'll be like, these are, like I say this stuff all the time. Great. That means you're teaching self-regulation. But sometimes we get nervous. Like if I say to you, this kid can't write his name, you'd be like, oh, step back. I got skill here, right? I know how to do it without crying. I got a bunch of ways. I got a whole Pinterest board dedicated to handwriting. No problem. But if I said to you, this kid is likely to fall to the floor crying if you even think of asking them to do something. Like, don't even have the thought, because he will know or she will know that you're having the thought, and you'll get a tantrum. You're like, oh, yeah, you can keep that kid. So if I offer a conference session, I say, we're going to do handwriting, or we're going to deal with challenging behaviors. You know which one y'all are going to come to? Challenging behaviors, because you can go on Pinterest and figure out 862 ways to work on handwriting. But nobody's yet figured out how to control challenging behaviors. Do you know why? Because you can, thank you, my fabulous friends, you cannot control anyone's behavior but your own. Darn it. I really wanted it. I wanted the answer. I was hoping to get it at this conference, in fact. Nope. We shouldn't even use the word management, control. You're not the managers of anybody but yourself. But you are a brain architect. You are a teacher. You are an educator. You are a supporter. You can teach these things. You just can't make them happen. Do you see the difference? So you need some tools, in that Pinterest board. Get one all up, ready and to go. And maybe our power packs can help you. And again, they are just questions that you would ask, things that you would say, and things that you would do that explicitly teach kids self-regulation. And again, if you go back to, what's self-regulation? We're saying this conscious control of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. So as my friend Shauna says, stop, think, and act. So that kid who always wants to be first, how do we teach you not to do that other than taking you to the back of the line? What other strategy do we have in our pocket that can help us? So if you have a little bit of time today while you're waiting in line for lunch, or you just want to check it out, you can download the Power Pack app. And again, it's kind of like toddlerish to early elementary developmentally. There are 3 levels. So level 1 are easier self-regulation skills, more support and control from the external. And then level 3 would be more advanced things.